Look, I never thought I'd be the kind of man who could feel invisible in his own marriage. But here I am, standing at the edge of my bed like a stranger in a home I helped build, watching the woman I love climb under the covers without even looking at me. Again. "Not tonight," she mumbled. That was the 5th time this week, and the 15th this month. She didn't even wait for a reply. She just turned off the lamp and rolled over, her back a wall I hadn't been able to climb in years. I stood there in the dark, hands clenched, trying to remember the last time she touched me like I mattered. Not just physically. I mean like I was still her person, like I was still hers. I whispered, "Good night, Em." She didn't answer. I left the room. I didn't slam the door, didn't throw anything. I just walked out into the quiet of the house, hoping the silence would soothe what her distance had reopened in me. But silence doesn't heal. It just echoes louder the things you're trying not to feel. I grabbed my keys from the counter, the ones I hadn't used in days. I just needed to breathe, needed to be somewhere that didn't remind me how unwanted I'd become in my own life. And that's when I heard her voice, not Emily's, Lena's, her younger sister. "You okay?" she asked from the hallway, barefoot, arms folded, wearing one of Emily's old sweaters that swallowed her small frame. I nodded, unsure why my throat felt tight. "Just going for a drive." She tilted her head, eyes soft. "What if I said, right now?" I froze. "What?" I whispered. She stepped closer, still careful, still quiet. "What if I said, I see you, right now, like really see you?" It wasn't a come on, it wasn't flirty, it wasn't wrong, but it felt dangerous. Because those words, they hit harder than anything Emily had said in months. I should have laughed, shrugged it off, but all I could do was stand there, looking into eyes that didn't avoid mine, eyes that didn't scroll past me on a phone screen. Eyes that didn't sigh when I asked for closeness. "I'm not trying to make things messy," she added. I know what it's like to feel invisible." I swallowed hard. I think I forgot what it feels like to be wanted. That was the truth. Ugly and raw. She nodded, not saying anything more, and I walked out the door. But I didn't drive far, just parked down the road near the old park where Emily and I used to take evening walks. Back when walks weren't silent, back when her hand found mine without being asked, back when I didn't feel like a burden. I sat there gripping the wheel, replaying Lena's voice in my head. What if I said, right now? She didn't mean it literally. She meant, what if someone finally saw you, Jake? Would you let them? When I came home, the house was quiet again. Emily hadn't noticed I'd left, but Lena was in the kitchen, barefoot again, making tea. She didn't say anything, just handed me a mug and sat beside me at the table. We didn't talk about what she said. We didn't need to. The air already knew. "Was it always like this?" she asked after a while. "With her?" "No," I said. "It used to be laughter, connection, touch, but now it's just survival." She nodded. "That's not love, that's slow dying." I looked down at the steam rising from the mug. "I don't think she hates me," I said. "I just think she forgot how to love me." Lena's voice was barely a whisper. Then maybe she didn't love the real you to begin with, just the version she needed back then. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't, because deep down, I feared she was right. The next morning was like any other. Emily moved around the kitchen like I didn't exist. Not rude, not cruel, just indifferent. "You working late again?" I asked. "Probably," she said, already halfway out the door. She didn't ask how I slept, didn't notice the untouched tea on the counter, didn't notice me at all. Later that night, I finally said it. "I don't remember the last time you looked at me like you saw me." She blinked, surprised by the outburst. "Jake, where is this coming from?" "From every night you say not tonight like it's a habit, from the way you scroll your phone at dinner, from how you forgot my birthday last month." She folded her arms. "I've been overwhelmed. And I've been patient," I said, voice breaking. But at some point, patience just turns into being forgotten. She didn't respond, and that silence said everything. She went upstairs without a word. But Lena didn't. She came downstairs an hour later, quiet, unsure. She didn't speak, just sat beside me on the couch again, her hands clasped together like she was holding something fragile between them. "Did I ruin something?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, you reminded me something was already broken." We sat like that for a long time, not holding hands, not touching, just two people sitting in the middle of what truth looks like when it finally gets tired of waiting to be heard. A few days later, Emily packed her things. She didn't cry, didn't yell, just said, "I think we've both known this was over for a long time." And I nodded, because she was right. Lena stayed in the guest room a few more nights. Then she left too, not in anger, not in shame, but because she knew we both needed space to figure out what came next. Weeks passed. I relearned what silence without bitterness sounded like. I learned how to miss someone without hating them. And then Lena came back. She didn't knock, just stood in the doorway and said, "I never wanted to be a replacement. I just wanted to be the person who reminded you that you still matter." I stared at her for a long moment. Then I said it back. "You did."